Greetings, monarchs of the internet. Today I'm going to be making this Meta Knight mask video and hopefully voicing this over in one go because this video is almost exactly the length of the time that my cake is going to be in the oven. So first you want to make your pattern. I really did this very not scientifically at all. I basically cut out a circle because the mask is basically a circle, and then folded the circle in half and then cut a little like line. Cut a curve basically and just kept cutting the curve and piecing the pieces together until I thought that it was fine. I did also measure my brother's head, but my brother doesn't like being on camera, so yeah. But anyways, after I cut out my pattern pieces, I took one of the pattern pieces and used that pattern piece for both sides. So you don't want to use both pattern pieces, you want to just mirror it and flip it over. And that way you can make sure that they are much more exact, or at least a little bit more exact. And so after you cut them out of the EVA foam, and this is 4mm, I believe. So not very thick. I think this is either 4 or 5mm. I think this is, yeah, I don't know. Whatever you can get at like the craft store. This was a really quick project because my brother wanted this like as soon as possible for something that he was doing. So this was very much thrown together. I could have probably made a better one, but yeah, that's me using the contact cement, and you have to let that dry. So I coated both sides just now, and now I'm letting it dry. And I also realized in the middle of it that I had to cut out the middle part before I before I glued the two pieces together, because it would be impossible to cut it out on a curvy shape. So here you can see the magic of the contact cement. Right after you let it dry, you can just stick it together and then it will hold that shape and it will not come unglued, which is a blessing and a curse. And that is when I figured out that I hadn't left enough space on the side. See how it's really skinny? The edge of the little feather edge of the visor thing. You know what I'm talking about. Hopefully. The edge was a little bit too close to the edge, and so it made it do this weird, you can see in this picture, it made it do this weird thing. And I don't know why I didn't try to fix it just there. Apparently I fix it later because I know I fixed it, but I also used this very cheap fabric, as you could see like a couple of seconds ago. It was like 56 cents. I got like a quarter yard or something. Maybe even an eighth yard, I don't know. So here's where I try to fix that saggy bit with a toothpick, because literally this was so quick of a thing. I'm just trying to stretch that fabric over the cover, and you can over to cover that hole, and you can actually see through this fabric fairly decently. So I kind of used that to make the kind of black effect of the mask, kind of like looking into the abyss. And I was going to paint eyes on it, but I thought that it would look cooler without, and I got my brother to agree, so no eyes, and I think that was a good decision. But I don't know, do you think I should have painted like yellow eyes on it like in the games? What do you think? Anyways, so I used that toothpick, as you can see, to kind of structurally support so it didn't sag, and I used the contact cement to glue it on. I really didn't probably need to use contact cement to glue that cloth on, but that was the only glue I had. Again, this was a rush job in my college dorm, and I didn't have most of my supplies, so yeah. Anywho, so this is another thing you can also get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby usually, is these little foam strips. You can get like circles and half circles, and you can get different sizes depending on what store you go to. You can just check and see like what your store has. But I decided to use these as the little fins on the mask because it can be really hard to get really nice crisp shapes with the foam, especially on really tiny pieces. And so these are already machine cut, and so I just cut a line down them and use those as the little fin things. I guess I'm calling them fins. Fin things on the mask. So, and that is how I did that. And I did a similar thing with the fin down the center of the mask. As you can see, I'm looking at my reference picture on Discord that my brother sent me. just to make sure I'm getting it as close as possible, because my brother is a stickler. Even though this was a rush job, I was trying to make it as accurate as possible with my limited tools. Also, fun fact, did anybody notice, like, during COVID, I think it's slightly better now, but like, seriously, there was no paint. Like, the paint aisle was just barren. And it took me, I could not find like silver paint. I had to go to like the little special effects section and like get the paint by the foam because it was that hard. But anyways, here you can see I'm cutting the larger things in the same way. I'm just marking and measuring it a little bit up so that there's less of a steep hill, I guess, and then chopping it, and you'll see a little bit more of that. But first, some random conversation snippets from me and my roommate Taylor.
Oh, and today, one of the girls from like the Hackers Club.
Mm-hmm. There's a Hackers Club?
Yeah, she's yeah. Anyways, I was like, yeah, my friend Liz does magic tricks with cards, and that's kind of how she does.
I was trying to compute how do I come into this conversation. You want to bring certain things to people's attention at the front, so that they don't have to go looking for things in the back. I'm totally doing magic trick tutorials though. Not for that one.
It was like, yeah, one of the tricks she knows is, depending on your ethics level, may or may not make you some money. And he's like, yeah, everything is forgiven in the eyes of the Lord.
Well, that's enough of that, and now back to the actual thing, and there's more of those clips at the end if you really wanted to see, but I didn't want to like burden the whole video with just like clips of us having a dumb conversation. And isn't this shot kind of cool? I kind of liked it. But anywho's, you can see here how I'm cutting it and how I marked it, and now I'm going to put it on so you'll kind of see how it looks. But anyways, there are more of those clips at the end of some funny stories from Taylor, a funny story and a prank idea. So if you want to see that, then that's just at the very end. You literally don't have to go anywhere. You like just have to continue watching the video. Here I'm using a hairdryer to try and seal off the pores in the foam in lieu of a heat gun. Now the hairdryer is not going to work nearly as well as a heat gun will, but again, rush job, it'll work. And here is where I spent forever painting it with the paint that was not very good. I mean, it was okay. The paint was okay, but there's better paint out there. You can see in this shot, like literally the sun just moving and moving. I spent so long. I think I ended up doing like 4 or 5 coats of the base coat because it just was not. Okay, and then I figured out this handy dandy trick. Okay, so see these little like sponge brushes that we're using? Yes, we use them like all the time. Yes. Okay, but like the little, you can see like it wasn't quite covering like how I wanted it to, so I think I even did another coat. Yeah. Okay, so the little sponge brush, they're awful. Like, never use those, like, ever. Okay, I figured out a way better, cheaper, and much nicer looking solution. And see, look, I'm just giving up. I'm just like splattering the whole thing because I'm like, just cover. So here is the solution. Okay, hear me out, guys. All right, especially you guys in particular. What I did is I took a makeup sponge, but not like the fancy, like super fancy dumb ones that, you know, I mean, they're not dumb, but I feel like they're overpriced. But anywho, that's not the point. The point is, if you take a makeup sponge, and you'll see me do it here in a second, if you take a makeup sponge and you use that as your sponge instead, the little triangle ones, for one, they are way cheaper. Here, you can see me use it here. For one, they are way cheaper. For two, you have a lot more variancy of how skinny or how thick you want to go. 3, you can, if you squeeze it, then it will kind of tuck up the edges and you won't have a hard line because it will be rounded. And 3, or am I on 4? I literally don't know. Point is, get a makeup sponge if you're doing any sponging ever, because I'm going to use this forever now. I'm never going to buy those cheap little sponge things because this is way better. It's softer. There's a much finer texture. It just works nicely, and you'll be able to see here in a second the finished product of how nice it worked because I layered a lighter silver on top of the darker silver to give it more dimension. And so I used the sponge brush, the makeup sponge brush, on the lighter layer. So you'll be able to see here in a second. And of course, I just attached some elastic to the back with the contact cement. And here it is. See that sponging, especially on the left side, is like perfect. Oh, so beautiful. So yes, that is basically how I did that really rushed Meta Knight mask. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, other than that triangular makeup sponges are awesome, I guess. And here's some more clips of us goofing off. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. Thanks. Okay, we're done now. Yes, there's elastic in the back. Yay, and a toothpick, which is ugly. Okay, whatever, bye.
Please. What are you doing?
I'm breaking the knife.
Why?
Because that's how these knives work. You have to break off the sections so that you can get to the sharp portion, because you make it dull. Because they're very sharp, but they don't stay sharp for very long. And it's supposed to be easy, but it's never easy for me. Sometimes it just works, and then sometimes it doesn't.
As somebody who's already cut my finger doing something ridiculously stupid.
That's why I have the ruler here. I'm not doing it with my hand. I'm not that stupid.
Good thing Olivia's like in her dorm, because if anything happens. Hey, wait, hang on. Let me see it.
Like, it's supposed to break seal on that line. It usually does.
Maybe if you push it a little out more.
I don't know.
I mean,
it's just supposed
I'm
to
not
break.
good enough at physics to calculate what's going wrong.
Some of them are just seem more stubborn than others. Probably. I mean, I got all of these.
Have you tried praying? That's my favorite suggestion.
I feel like
Wait,
this
would
is
you
too
like to-
trivial to trouble him with.
Never. Are you kidding me? I pray to God for the simplest things like finding a parking spot.
Okay, finding a parking spot is legit important, though. Ha!
Oh, come on. I was just about to help. I looked at my professor, I was like, thank you. You just saved me $14,000. It's like, cool. So when do I get my cut? So here's what I'm gonna do, right?
Oh no, there's a plan now.
I have work tomorrow, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go to work,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna print off Monopoly money worth $14,000. Put it in an envelope.
No, you gotta give him half. You say, hey, I'll give you your 50%.
Yeah. Here's half of what
Here's
you
your
saved.
50% cut.
Yeah, here's your cut. It's all Monopoly money. I'm gonna give it to him because I have him in Wednesday classes. But the thing is, I'm currently passing his class pretty well. And I don't want that to change.
You're so worried that, like, if you do something mildly amusing to a professor, that they're gonna, like, fail you. That's not how it works. It's, like, not how it works at all. That's where rubrics came from. Okay, I just wanted to say, like, literally as soon as I, like, hit stop recording, like, my timer went off, so that was so perfect, so I'm gonna go eat cake now. Okay, bye for real this time.